today I was supposed to record a video on constipation, but as you can see, I'm not in my office. I'm just outside my office. And the reason for that is simple. It's a gorgeous freaking day. So I thought, why am I forcing myself to script things, to be such a perfectionist about recording a video, to deliver the same information, when I can just do that outside, go for a walk, and just talk to the camera, right? I already know the stuff, so let's just get it out there. So anyways, I'm outside now. We're gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna talk about GI, I'm gonna talk about constipation a little bit. And while I was inside, I also realized there's no point in me making this super long video on constipation, trying to cover everything, trying not to forget a single detail. And when at the end of the day, someone who's looking for a specific answer, they're probably gonna watch just a small segment of that video. And because it's such a long video, the YouTube algorithm is not gonna like it anyway, so it's not really in my benefit to make that long video when I can make shorter videos covering the same topic. So instead, what I'm gonna do is go for a walk, cover one part of that video, a small part of it, but a very helpful part of it that I don't think many other people really talk about. I also realized with this YouTube venture, as I know some of my favorite creators quite well, at least I think I know them quite well, it's important for you guys to get in my face a little bit, for me to showcase who I am as a person, what I'm like to talk to and go on a walk with. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna get a little bit face to face, and yeah, if it goes well in the editing process, I will do it again. And I will try my best to be a little less perfectionisty with it. Shout out FedEx. Actually, not shout out FedEx. This should be working, not parked here. This ain't commercial parking. And it's very windy here. That's okay. Anyways, let's get into this topic. I'll try to do this more often because I'm actually very much enjoying just walking, talking to the air, looking like a crazy person out here, but that's okay. Most people are just busy on their phones and not really paying attention. Someone just honked at someone, like I said, not really paying attention these days. So I keep seeing the same ad everywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, that goes, it uses this hook. Your constipation or your GI issues are not caused by the foods you eat. And to be fully honest, I'm not even sure what the ad is for. I don't think it's a product. I think it's either some sort of stimulation advice for your your vagus nerve or something like that, or it might be some mindfulness type stuff to really kick in your parasympathetic nervous system. But I thought this is a good point for me to just talk about. But that video is right in the sense that your GI issues might not actually be caused by the foods you eat. That's a pretty crazy idea in itself, which is why I think that ad works so well as a hook. But if you think about it, let's just say you're eating regular same old diet. One day you have GI issues, the next day you have IBS. So it's like, okay, what is going on? What is this light switch that seems to go off? And I have an interesting idea, a little bit of a theory about this. So in my practice, in my experience and what I've seen, is that let's just say you are having some GI, maybe very minor symptom. Maybe there's a little bit of constipation, which is very normal just because most people are not getting enough fiber in their regular diet. So a little bit of GI issues, a little bit of constipation, and then one day it just kind of starts to spiral and get worse and worse. So it's like, okay, what's happening here? I went back to the shade for better lighting. There's a plane in the air. Hopefully my mic doesn't pick that up. Anyways, now there's some constipation. Constipation's happening down there. Things are kind of stuck. Eat something that gives you a little bit of bloating, doesn't sit well. It's not because of that food, but it was the food the day before. Your nervous system is picking up all these cues that something's kind of wrong. Depending on your personality, it literally goes to your brain. It's like, something's not quite right here. You start feeling more anxiety and it becomes a bit of a vicious loop. Now it's like, okay, that's not sitting well. This doesn't seem to sit well either. Oh, this kind of sat well that one time, but not that other time. And it's actually because it's not even, like I said, the food itself, but it's all these external kind of cues being tied into, you could say, that eating experience. So the ad I saw, I totally forgot the product's name, but I believe it had to do something with the nervous system, relaxing it in many ways. This is potentially helpful. I'm not saying it's not helpful. I'm just trying to get the point across that the hook they use, that your IBS is not caused by the foods you eat, they do have a point. But at the same time, because it's being associated, a lot of times what you need to do is you actually do need to make some dietary changes that will actually be different foods, right? So if, for example, quinoa doesn't sit well, you try another grain and another grain does sit well. Then it's like, okay, that grain seems to sit well. Then over time, what you can do is once you've kind of gone past that and once you've let your memory sort of decay in the background a little bit, you can try to reintroduce that food very slowly and subtly, and then see what happens when you're in a, you could say, better place in life, or when you've kind of moved past it. So maybe I'll tie this with my experience, a little bit of a story. So 3 years ago, I was cycling out on a beautiful sunny day, except it was during a heat wave we had. So I almost had a heat stroke, and I remember getting home, taking a shower, and be like, okay, I almost died today, but I laughed it off, I played it off, and honestly, I didn't think much of it. But somewhere in my subconscious, it started to put things together in a very interesting way, and all of a sudden, some of, not even foods, just everything was starting to be associated with a very stress response. I started having panic attacks. It's a very messy part of my life that obviously I don't really like to talk about. But what ended up happening was certain foods were associated with that stressful event, and these were foods that I ate while I was, working at the time. So I'm working at the time, like I'm not working now, I'm working right now. One of these foods was rolled oats. I would have these rolled oats with some like nuts and some seeds and a lot of dates, just trying to get a lot of calories into it because I was biking to work, so I'd always be hungry. So basically for these rolled oats, I started having constipation, anxiety, and it was very, very strange experience. I couldn't quite put things together. I'm very logical when it comes to things, so it wasn't adding up, right? It was like 2 + 2 is 5. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This can't be happening, or whatever was going on can't be happening. And it wasn't really until it started happening over and over again that I was like, okay, something's not right. Something's not the same here. Now, many years later, I can finally eat oats. Literally 2 weeks ago, I made a oatmeal recipe for my girlfriend. She thought it was okay. I really liked it, and I finished that whole bag of oats in a week. At first, I was a little stressed about it, but because it's been 3 years since the incident, it wasn't really on my mind anymore. So basically, I had those oats. They sat much better. Jump back a little bit, 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I'd have those oats. They gave me a little bit of a stress response. Something wasn't quite right with them. So our body is picking up a lot of cues that we're not consciously picking up. For this, when it comes to a solution for this, there's no one shoe fits all type solution, because it's really going to depend on what's going on in that brain and trying to figure things out. I would say that if you look at the reason you're having GI issues, and let's just say you've tried the dietary changes, you tried increasing fiber in a smart way, and I'll have a video covering that. Nothing seems to be staying well, you're always constipated or always having diarrhea, and just your bowel is a mess 24/7. Believe me, I've been there. It's an absolute nightmare. Imagine you're just sitting and it's always kind of on the back of your mind. You never feel comfortable in your own skin. It's a complete nightmare when it comes to GI issues. So I'm not trying to downplay this whatsoever. But if you tried all that, then you need to look at maybe even the past 1.5 years of your life. You need to look at, okay, if I go on vacation and I'm eating out, how does things sit then? What is it about this current environment that my brain is perceiving as being so stressful, right? And there's many subtle cues for this. Another good subtle cue that I'll just bring up while I'm talking to the camera is this social isolation piece. If you find yourself that, every evening I'm kind of by myself, sometimes I binge eat a little bit, sometimes I feel anxious, sometimes I don't feel so great. Well, what is that telling your deeper unconscious? It's telling, hey, there's no other humans around, kind of like right now. There's no other humans around. Actually, I hear some kids playing. But if there's no humans around, that lady's looking at me like I'm a crazy person. I am crazy with my magic wand. If there's no people around, it tells your brain that, hey, something's kind of wrong here. If you're eating very low calorie density diets, it tells your brain, hey, there's no rich food around, something's not quite right here. So you want to look at these subtleties. You want to look at when you're exercising, the timing of any symptoms you might have around that exercise. Maybe for whatever reason, your brain is perceiving a rapid increase in heart rate as a threat, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense, right? If you're all of a sudden relaxed and you're going to start sprinting, hit a stress response. And depending on, oh, that's a bee. I look like a lavender flower. This is literally lavender. I'm hoping that's a bee and not a wasp. But if you are all of a sudden just relaxing and now you're sprinting or running, now that exercise, even though it's good for motility and whatnot, maybe that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to go outside, you're trying to be more active. Even though you're doing all those right things, it sometimes can actually have a negative consequence to them. So take a look at your lifestyle. We are living in an environment that's very overstimulating as it is. There's just a lot going on with the GI constipation thing, which is why I decided to come out here and talk to the camera instead of trying to put everything in one damn video. I will share that I'm working on a GI book. I want to publish a GI book. I don't think there's a really good GI book that gets into, you could say, the causes and what to do in a logical stepwise manner, and it lets people troubleshoot what's going on in their own life when it comes to GI issues. So that's also a goal of mine. Okay, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but getting tired, so I'm gonna head back. Thanks for checking out this video, appreciate it. Recording this after, but walking also seems to get my thinking muscles going quite well. So yeah, I think I will definitely do this again. Anyways, I'm back home now. Beautiful Surrey, British Columbia. Definitely won't be able to do this during the winter and the rain. This was just a small little bit on constipation. I will cover it in more detail. I'll have drawings. They won't be great drawings, but they will be drawings. So if you are suffering with GI issues, rest assured, I got you.